Namaste, Siddharth ji. Welcome to
Namaste.
Cowism. So just to introduce you, we are so happy to have you amidst us because you are a mechanical engineer and who has done so much work for cows and Go Urja. So you have already obviously specialized in a different field, which was marine shipbuilding and ship repair, even in heavy lift equipments and transfer. But you've moved on to being a pioneer in biogas purification technology and making India's first portable BioCNG unit. Your knowledge in the power plant engineering on coal, heavy fuel, and biogas is tremendous. And you have a fully functional, first of its kind Indian plant without any imported components that is made by you. You're also an organic farmer with a lot of experience in Go Adharit Krishi, and you have done the great job of rescuing 75 Desi cows and are operating them fully without any donation. And to mention the most important subject that we're going to discuss, that you're heading the Akhil Bhartiya Gau Urja Prashikshan. So this is you can tell us more about it. We are just waiting to hear from you. So please take over.
Namaste, Shivaji, Shivani ji. Thank you for inviting us on this forum. And we, on the Sangha, we have got Akhil Bharatiya Toli, when there are many distinguished people, and I am a part of that Toli, which is also teaching people in Gau Urja. We have got all the ayams of Gau Seva now, which is the Gau products, then how Gau Prasikshan, agriculture, all these things. In this, Urja is one part of it, which is pretty important. I am a member of that Toli, which is doing the job. Now, coming back to our subject, see, the main problem today, all over the world, what we are facing today is GHG emissions. That is the greenhouse gases. And our country has got now a very stringent commitment. Our Prime Minister himself has commented in all the international forums of India's reduction in footprint, carbon footprint, and how we are going to achieve it. If we are not able to achieve these footprints over a period of time, we will be also penalized, because this is something a very serious commitment. And our program of Gau Urja directly helps in its Karakrama of reducing GHG emissions and protection of cows, handling waste. All these things are very perennial problems nowadays, which especially post COVID, people have started realizing the importance of cleanliness, and the importance of Gau Adharit product, the importance of B2 milk, and all these things have been slowly coming into people's, into people's know-how, that this is how this should be done. So I would like to share with you a small PowerPoint program, and that will be, help you to understand what we are trying to do over here in Gujarat.
So
Yeah.
request Siddharth ji to please share with us a presentation on Go Urja.
Thank you, Shivali ji. Like, as I was talking to you, that greenhouse gases is one of the major problems of the world. And our program using Govurja and waste management has been one of the roadmaps in trying to control the GHG emissions of our nation. We have developed a program, an indigenous program, using the Swachh Bharat mission and a concept of made in India, by India, for India, so that the program is indigenous, it has an indigenous thinking and an indigenous implementation, which is made for our nation. Basically, biomethanization can be used now as a tool for combating climate change. Methane accounts for nearly 18% of the greenhouse gases. Now, more than 80% of the methane gas is discharged into the atmosphere regularly. That is because of unturned, unburnt, treated agriculture waste, cattle dung, municipal waste. Now, all these things are actually adding to the greenhouse gases. This program can curb the very emission of greenhouse gases at the root itself, with the result a higher concentration of CH4 and CO2 in the level causes an overall increase in reflections and radiations due to GHG. Higher heat retention results in a very regular increase of Earth's surface temperature. We are seeing nowadays that every year, the temperature keeps on increasing. And I remember in my college days when I used to study at Belgaum, those days we had a wonderful climate. And nowadays, after a span of around 40 years, the temperature, ambient temperature has shot up by more than 6 to 7 degrees. This is the cause of the greenhouse gases. Ultimately, there are two types of organic decomposition processes. When we treat these bases, one is aerobic and anaerobic. Aerobic is one in which we do it in presence of oxygen, like we compost in open trays, we compost in open grounds. And anaerobic is one which we use a biodigester and we use. We are going to concentrate on the anaerobic digestion here. See, anaerobic digestion is used for prevention of spreading of harmful bacteria and viruses. It will generate clean fuel, and in the present sense, we are aware as how the fuel prices are sky high, rocketing. It also saves in the direct saving to the national foreign exchequer. It helps us to reduce the carbon footprint. And overall, as it is a micro program, it also helps in promoting skill development. This is basically a normal biodigester. A biodigester is nothing but a large tank in which in one side we input all the slurry mixed with water, and the other side after a retention period. A retention period is generally it takes around 40 days of time in normal ambient temperature, Indian ambient temperature, for all the slurry to get composted. As it is undergoing combustion, it releases methane gas or biogas in which methane is a part of it, and that can be retrieved. This is a fixed dome biogas digester. This is a small program here what we are using with the help of IIT Udaipur and any small villages which is interested to put in 4 biogas units, household biogas units. IIT Udaipur helps us, and there is a team of expert masons who is sent from there. And this kind of biodigesters, Dinbandhu models, can be erected in the village itself by using their own help. This is a rubberized biogas collection unit. This is becoming nowadays more in practice. And to people who are more associated to our shipping activities, is more like a Yokohama fender. Here in normal areas and very rural regions, we can use polypropylene balloons. This is nothing but nice quality of 4-layer tarpaulin, which is tucked inside the dome, and this requires very less maintenance. And a small household can always erect this kind of a polypropylene balloon and use gas for their day-to-day cooking and for other activities. This is the floating dome type of biogas plant. The difference between the fixed dome and the floating dome is, excuse me, the floating dome has a gas holder which can move up and down. And the reason for this is the floating dome gives a very uniform output of gas. So when it is used for household cooking and for other, we did not put a pressure regulating valve, and we can get a clear gas out of the dome. The difference between floating dome and the fixed dome is the fixed dome is economically cheaper than the floating dome. So we need to think of a combination. We can always put a fixed dome for smaller requirement, and that helps local people as it is very budgetary. This is the KVIC model for floating dome. Generally speaking, if we have 250 Gauvansha, then this is what we can say: with 2 cows, we can generate about 8 to 10 kgs of gobar. If we are a small family, every day we will have around 1 or 2 kgs of organic waste. So we can generate around 1.5 meter cube of biogas. And that can be very nicely used for cooking. And we can every day generate around 4 to 5 kgs of fertilizer. Now, in a normal case where we have two buffaloes and two bullocks and a cow, like around 5, 7 bovine facilities at home, then we can easily get up till 35 kgs of gobar, and we can generate about 2 to 3 meter cube of gas. So ultimately, in the present sense, when we are aware that the cooking gas has also become very expensive, and it is one of the very biggest load what is being faced by people, I think now going back again to household biogas is going to reduce the budgetary load on individual families to a very large extent. The general composition of biogas is that we have around 45 to 65% of methane, about 40 to 50% of carbon dioxide, and about 1% of hydrogen sulfide. Basically, the hydrogen sulfide needs to be removed in the first place. And as we are aware that when the biogas itself is said as sour and sweet, a biogas which has hydrogen sulfide is considered as sour, and on the removal of hydrogen sulfide, the biogas is considered as sweet because the hydrogen sulfide is a very corrosive gas and it corrodes all the piston rings and all mechanical parts of any compressor or any equipment which will be used for biogas purification. So the first stage should be the removal of hydrogen sulfide. Over a period of time, these are few of the research modules what we have been done using purified biogas. In 2001, we built India's first biomedical waste disposal unit working on purified biogas. Here we were able to achieve the 1100 degrees Celsius temperature in 14 minutes. And we would regularly use it for destroy the biomedical waste generated in the local areas. This was India's first plasma pyrolytor, in which there was no segregation required of waste. And I am very happy to quote, this whole infrastructure has been designed from the story of Bhasmasur. It is now called by the European community as a pyrolytor, but as far as our Shastras are concerned, it is Bhasmasur. It's like wherever Shivji comes, there is immense technology because he is the eternal creator. Just imagine a technology in which heat is input and direct output is ash. That is what is Bhasmasur, that as soon as you input energy on somebody's head, he turns to ash. The very concept of oxidation is removed. Now, when the concept of oxidation is removed, it is nothing but a plasma pyrolytor. It is a 2 billion US dollar program of Idaho University if we reach to the site and say thermal plasma. This was our first portable biogas purification unit, what we had put in for test in 2006 at Duraji. This was the first time in which a portable unit can be taken to the Gaushala and there purified biogas can be generated from a biogas dome and can be used directly in filling up the cars. We had the honor of the full ministry of Gujarat to be present and the honor to have Dr. Kuwarji Bhai Jadhav, who was a 1961 PhD in saline farming from California. Now let's come back again to the very crux of the problem. These are the GHG emission causing problems. This is the neglected Gauvansha. We see them poor cows every day sitting across the roads of rural India and urban. This is the untreated municipal solid waste. This is what we have done to our rivers. We are people who get up early in the morning and give ark to Surya Narayana. When we take a bath, the first mug when we put on our body, we say Gangecha, Yamnecha, Kaveri, Godavari, Saraswati. And presently, this is how we have handled our Panch Mahabhutas. And this has resulted into a very large ecological change in the Indian subcontinent. When we are talking of New India, as per our Prime Minister's commitments, first and foremost priority should be to reduce the GHG emissions. And for that, we must have an economic and ecologically viable solution. We should generate maximum potential for employment, have dignity of labor, generate empowerment facilities for women, where the malnutrition facilities can also be looked after. All these things can give us a new approach for what the subcontinent, what our Prime Minister has designed for. This is what we do for a zero garbage solution. We have very simple Gaushala over here. We have around 75, 80 rescued cattle with us. And those rescued cattle are well tended. And we have a very good quality of bulls, both Gir and Kakraj, and which we generate a good thoroughbreed of Gir and Kakraj. Here I would like to point out that there is no need to put Gir and Kakraj everywhere in India. Mahadev has created multiple breeds of cows, and all those breeds of cows are in different areas, so that that flora fauna what it is consuming is very much required to treat the local diseases what are generated in those areas. So we need to have a healthy Gauvansh, and all the local breeds must be developed in order for a proper conservation program. Here, our team collects all the organic waste from the hotels. It collects all the organic waste from the marketing yards, collects all the waste from the fish, chicken, and the mutton markets. Even you would be surprised that the mobile toilets, what we keep in Jupi Jopsis, and in for any small program, and the septic tank waste, which is basically human waste, all that is collected and brought to our plant. All the stray animal shelters which are there where we house the stray cattle, all the waste is collected from those ends also. Now, all the fish collected from hotels, restaurants, party plots is brought to a treatment plant. The most critical part is the segregation. Now, this segregation is very critical. With segregation, we are able to distinguish between organic and inorganic matter. The inorganic material is segregated and sent to recyclers. The segregated wet waste then undergoes through crushing. We would like to know that all the wet waste, green matter which we have to put into biodigester has to be crushed. If it is not crushed, then the lentil structure will not be disturbed. And if we do not disturb the existing lentil structure of the flora fauna, then it will take a much more longer time to decompose. These are our 5,000 meter cube per day biogas facility. There is not a single imported component in making of these domes. Here on the right side of the screen, you will see that it is a purification unit. We have a 3-stage purification program. In the first stage, we remove the hydrogen sulfide. The second stage, the carbon dioxide is removed. And the third stage, clean methane, is pumped into the grid of Gujarat Gas. Here, since we have a grid nearby, we are able to pump in purified biogas into the grid directly. If there is a grid not available in the nearby areas, then we can use a bottling rack, and then that bottling rack can be shifted to the nearby dispensing station. Now, if you have a smaller quantum of gas, there we have on our plant 5,000 meter cube of gas Post processing, it comes to nearly 2 to 2.5 tons of BioCNG. So this system is convenient. But when we have a smaller Gaushala, say we have got 50 cows and we have got around 35-40 meter cube of gas, in that case, we can always purify the biogas, and the purified biogas need not put under a high pressure system but can be put into tanks, and those tanks can be towed to the nearby utilization center. Let it be a bhojanalay, let it be a temple Gaushala, or let it be a guest house, anywhere where there is a requirement for energy. Here, a similar program we regularly undertake with the Daudi Bora community. They have centralized kitchens. We collect all the waste from them, and the processed biogas is given to them for cooking. Since we have the technology of purifying biogas, now there are multiple applications. Since we have clean green fuel, we can use it for power generation, or we can use it for industrial heating, or we can use it for automobile application. The same kind of a biogas program can also be applied for sugar factories. There is a very large quantum of sugarcane peat which is available, which is going waste. That sugarcane peat can be utilized for generation of biogas. A small description is there in which this biogas pure purification can be used to generate power or can be used as a biogas fuel. The downstream is that every day, once we have a capacity to load in 50 tons, we have a capacity of having a very large quantum of slurry. Now that slurry is then converted into very good quality of granular fertilizer. All the wastewater what is generated in the program is reused because the conservation of water is one of the topmost priority for our program. These are our licenses and certifications. This is the Pollution Control Board certification which is required for treatment of such a large quantum of waste. These are our organic manure test reports. We would like to point out over here that all the testings of our fertilizer is done by Junagadh Agriculture University, which is a Government of India university and one of the oldest agriculture universities in India. And here the testing is done by the plant absorption method, not by the content method. The plant absorption method very clearly says what is the quantity of nutrient which the plant has actually taken in from the fertilizer which we have given it. That is the most critical thing. It is important that what is the cash in your hand, but what is available in reserve bank. Similarly, what is the actual nutrition, what the plant absorbs is of critical importance when we are to monitor plant growth. We have got all the licenses what we have acquired, like chemical fertilizers for marketing and selling of this organic fertilizer. Now we are presently competing against DAP and urea. We have designed Maxim 1. It's a very nice organic powder which we use just 10 kg per acre against 50 kg of urea. We use Maxim term, which is our organic manures granular form, which can be used only 25 kgs per acre against 50 kg of DAP. It is much more cost effective for the farmer, and we are slowly changing the quality of the soil, which is the most important thing to maintain the microorganism level in the plant soil. This is how we use our fertilizers. Now, some of our upcoming projects. We are working on a program of converting seawater to fresh water. You'll be surprised that even as old as Agastya Puran, we had desalination technology. There is a shloka in Agastya Puran which says, that a roaring sea from one side comes in contact with a mountain, and on the other side we find a very beautiful rivulet clucking out of the mountain. Now imagine a very large solar concentration converts seawater to fresh water, and we have abundant steam which can be used for generation of power, and brine, salt, which is our day to day requirement as a byproduct. This is how we use bullock power. Bhayaji Joshi, our Sasanchalakji, was present. We are able to generate presently 5 horsepower of power using 2 bullocks. Now there is a very nice shlok, Akashat patitam toyam yatha gacchati sagara, sarvadevo namaskaram keshavam pratigacchati. Now Sanskrit is such a beautiful language that the engineering application of this is that this is a micro unit. Multiple micro units combined together will make us generate nearly 250 kVA to 500 kVA of power. Now imagine a stray Gaushala which is housing 500 to 600 bullocks, and if we are able to cumulative generate power, then this will be a complete clean green energy program in which there will be no requirement of Dan to run the Gaushala. This is the dream of Dr. Kalam, my guru, that an integrated program, how we can incorporate. This is what we have done over there, is that we have a Gaushala without Dan, which is housing stray cattle. We can generate electricity which can be fed to the grid. All the waste from the city, from the Gaushala, comes to the biodigesters. The waste gas is then converted to purified biogas. That purified biogas is presently fed into the grid. The same grid feeds it into the machines. It also feeds gas for heating into the nearby industrial areas. The water which is removed back out from the plant is again processed and cleaned for clean ponds, and the fertilizer generated is used in place of chemical fertilizer. Gaumaye vasate Lakshmi. If we are actually able to use the Gaumay, then we can really convert this Bharatvarsha into a clean green area, what our Shastras have been talking about. Jai Hind. Now I'd like to show you a small clip of what we actually do over here, like what I have been telling to you.
Thank you so much, Siddharthji, for sharing such valuable inputs with us. It was indeed an eye opener for me personally, and I'm sure a lot of viewers have also learned a lot from you. The West clearly puts everything on the cow, saying that that is the cause for all our problems. But here in India, like you said, through Gomay Vaste Lakshmi, if we are able to utilize her cow dung in the way you said, really we can transform India. Thank you so much for your time and sharing all your inputs with me and for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Shivali ji. Thank you very much for giving an opportunity to put to all our people that g- mother cow is actually the root for our prosperity. And this will make changes of conservation of cows is going to ultimately lead to a very nice, economically healthy Bharat Varsha. Thank you. Thank you once again.